Hello, everybody. Can you see my screen? See it, Tim?
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, and everybody, Sherry is going to go for about a half hour on this, okay? And so everybody will be able to get on with their day. It is going to be recorded, and we'll go ahead and get that out to everybody. Okay, so go ahead and take it away, Sherry.
All right, thank you. Hi, guys. As Tim said, today we're going to be talking about, we're going to demonstrate the basics of customizing forms and reports in Sage 100 Contractor. We're going to show you how to add and delete fields, draw boxes and lines, remove text, add text, change fonts and sizes. We'll show you how to add pictures, play around with some colors, and of course, we'll show you how to save your creations. For today's demonstration, we are going to use a purchase order. And first, let's discuss the difference between reports and forms. The report itself consists of the details in the grid. So the items here in the grid will be the report itself. Think of forms as letterhead. So they consist of the information in the header and in the footer. Okay? So let's take a look. We're going to go to print and look at the purchase order. So what you guys will see, most likely, if you don't have anything customized, will be on the left side here is the list of reports. So you won't have this top one. Anything from number 21 down is a system report. Okay? And the forms, your list of forms will be here in this field where it says system purchase. We are going to use purchase order with notes. Well, we're going to select for today because we do have notes on our purchase order. And the system purchase order will be, we print preview, and this is what it looks like. So we see in the center here, we have the details are grid, okay? And this up here and down here comes from the form. Now I'm going to look at this and decide, what changes do I want to make to this? The first and foremost thing that popped out to me is I want my own logo here, okay? And if I look at the information in my report, I'm not using part numbers. So I want to get rid of this and shift things around here. And I don't want this unit column either. I want to get rid of that and shift things around there. So what I envision from my purchase order is something more like this. So how do we go from this to this? Well, let's start with the report, and we will modify the report. And if you look here on the top, we have the descriptions of these columns. So in this column, we have the part number. In this column, we have the description, and so on and so forth. And then on the detail line, we have the actual fields pulling from our purchase order. So the part number, the description here, and so on and so forth. Now, I decided I don't want to have the part and the part number or the unit. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to click on it to highlight it, and then I'm going to press my delete key. Same thing, press my delete key. I want to get rid of the unit. Okay. Now, I want to move my description over because I don't want this blank spot here. So I can do this a couple of ways. I can, with my left click of my mouse and hold it down and just drag this around to where I want it. Or having it highlighted, I can use my arrow keys and move it around. And I think I'll do that because I also want to move this detail with it at the same time. So I'm going to click that. I'm going to hold my control key down and I'm going to click that. So I have them both highlighted. And then using my arrow keys, I'm going to move them over. Now, I want them to line up as well. So while they're highlighted, I'm going to right click, left, align left position. So that shifted them into alignment. Perfect. So we have notes here. That's for if you put notes on the lines of the purchase order, that will print under each one. And then down here we have the main note section of the purchase order. We have subtotal, totals. Okay, we have everything that we want. Now let's work on the font. I want to change the font, so I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to properties, and this opens the properties of the field. And we can see that it's a text field, and this is the table name, so it's purchase order line, and this is the field name itself, which that is part description. So we don't change that. That's just what the field is called. But here we have the font, the size, whether we want it bolded, etc. So we could change these one at a time, or better, we click on select multiple objects by drawing around it, and I'm going to left click, hold it down, and just drag and get everything highlighted. Right click, property. Now here I can choose my font, and I can choose my size, but I don't think I'm going to choose anything in here because some of it is bolded, some of it is not. So I'm just going to leave that alone, and I'm going to say OK. And that changed all of my fonts. Perfect. So I think at this point what I will do is save my report, go and look at it, and see how it looks and see if I want to make any changes. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the name of my report. I don't want it to say purchase order with notes. I want it to say Alliance PO. And I'm going to save it. Now this is the file name of the report, which is the menu item, like purchase orders menu 661. So 060601, and then the last two numbers from 21 on our system report numbers. So we need to change the last two numbers to be less than that. So I want my report to come at the top of the stack. So I'm going to say 01. Now you guys should all have this top save as shared report available to you. That's what you should choose because you want this to be available to anyone else who logs in and wants to print a purchase order. So make sure you select the shared report and then save it. Now we have 01 Alliance PO and on the system purchase form. Let's take a look at it. And this is what it looks like. So looking at it, I can see that I've moved my description over, but while changing my fonts, I've thrown these columns over here out of alignment. So I need to fix that. So, and I also want my note section to stand out a little bit. So let's go back into Modify Report, and we're going to highlight our amount here, right-click, Align Right Position, and that'll shift those into alignment. I also want to line this column, right-click, Align Right Position. lined it up, it jumped it way over. So we're going to highlight these again. We're going to move them over. And let's make sure that these are lined up. There, nice and neat. Perfect. Now let's address the notes. I want this to stand out some more. So I'm going to right-click, go to Property, and I'm going to alter this just a bit. I want this to say important purchase order notes. Okay. Now, I don't want this to just be bold. I want it to be italicized as well, and I want it to be underlined. And I think I want to change the color as well because I want it to really stand out. So I'm going to click on the drop down here to bring up my color selections. And I would like to find a color that best matches my swoosh on my A. And that happens to be chocolate. Looks orange to me, but chocolate is great. Okay. Say okay. Now that stands out. I like it. One other thing I want to do is I want my description and my notes to left align. I want those to stay neat. So I could highlight all four and try to align it up, or if I wanted to, I could click on the property, right-click Property, and see where it left aligns. So number 4. Well, I think that's too far over, so I'm going to move that to 15. And I noticed that that might be out of alignment with these. So I need to fix that also. Now, since I changed that one, I also need to change the others. I'm going to change this one. And the actual note also. Okay. All left aligned. Perfect. Looks good. Great. I'm going to save it. Now, I want to point out that you will notice that Sage does not warn us if we're saving with a file name that already exists. Like if you save a Word document and you name it 06060101 and there's already one there, it says, hey, there's already one here. Are you sure you want to do you want to override it? And then you get to choose. You don't get that warning here. You just save it and it saves. So be wary of that. That's a hard lesson to learn. So saved. Let's go look at it again. Here's our preview. Perfect. All lined up, nice and neat, all left aligned, and my notes stand out great. I like it. So let's move on to the form. So to alter or modify the form, we're going to go to Edit, Form Design. And that brings up the form. So if you notice this great big gray box in the middle, that is our report box. We're going to leave that alone because that's the details of our report. If we delete this, we're only going to have letterhead, no report. So we're going to leave that alone. The first thing I notice, obviously, is this gray house. We have to get rid of that so we can bring in our logo. And so I'm going to click on it and delete it. This is our company name, our company address. If you don't remember from the print preview, you can right-click on it, go to Properties, and it will tell you here in the description what it is. So it is the full address of the company. This is company name. Okay, so I'm going to just move these out of the way. Left-click and drag them out of the way. And then my company license number, if I want to leave it there, I can. If I don't want it there, and I don't want it there, so I'm just going to delete it. So I want to put my logo here. So I'm going to go to Insert, Picture, and that's going to take me to MB7 BMP folder, which is where we have our logo. I'm going to click on my logo. Pops it right in there. Awesome. Now, my logo happens to be my company name, so I don't want to have the company name again, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. Okay? I'm going to move this up a little. I want it to be higher. Now, it might look like it's out of the margin, but it's not. You would have to preview it to see if it is, and then maybe shift it back down, but you can move that up pretty high before it goes out of the margin. I want to move my company address back over here, and then I want to change my font. I want it to be pretty and match my report. So I'm going to select multiple objects. I'm going to go way up here, and I am going to highlight this whole thing here, get all of these in. I'm going to right-click, Properties, and I'm going to change my font. And I'm going to change the size. And I'm going to leave this alone because some of the fields are bolded, some aren't. And I'm going to save it. Now that just changed the font for everything. Perfect. But let me look and see. Okay, so purchase order. I want to make that bigger again. So let's see. I'm going to make that bigger. And I want it to be italicized. And I want to change the color. I'm going to click on the drop down here, which brings up my color selection. And I'm looking for chocolate. There it is. Okay. Okay. Perfect. I do want to drop this down just a little bit because, you know, I want my company name to stand out more than the name of the report. And I'm looking, I want these fields to be right aligned. And I want these fields to be left aligned. Nice and neat. Okay? Let's grab these, move them down, shift them over a little, shift these over a little, and I want to bring this above the line. And I would like to see, which I don't see anywhere here, whose attention I have in my purchase order that this is to someone's attention, but I don't see it here, so I need to add that. So first I'll type in attention, and then I'm going to insert a field. Okay. Now I need to find what I want to insert. I'm going to go to Project Management, Purchase Orders, and I'm going to look for the field that I want. Right here. The name of the person to whom you are sending the purchase order. Double click, and it drops it in my report, into my form, sorry. Now, first thing, I need to change the font. Properties. And there. Up. I need to make this bold to match the rest. Okay. Now we need to put these fields in shape here because they're out of alignment. So I'm going to highlight these two. Align right. These two. Align left. These two. Align right. And these two. Align left. Let's move those over just a little bit. Now, one last thing. I need to highlight these four and align top. So now they're all in alignment. Perfect. So let's adjust the center portion here. I'm going to highlight this entire thing, and I'm going to shift it over in the middle. Balance everything out. Leave that there. Keep these moving. Perfect. What do I need to do now? I know. Let's get rid of these big, dark lines. They don't really match. So I'm going to right-click on it. I'm going to go to Property. And let's see, line width. We're going to drop this down just a little bit. And we are going to change the color to everybody's favorite chocolate. Okay. Now let's work on this one. Right-click, Property. This one, drop that down, and we're going to pick, for this one, let's pick blue. Okay. Okay. Awesome. Looks good. I like it. Let's scroll down and look at the bottom part of this. Okay. So for my company, we're not tracking sales tax on the purchase order, so I want to get rid of that. So I'm just going to highlight here, and since we're not having sales tax, I don't need a subtotal. I'm just going to highlight all 4 of those and delete. After I do that, I'm going to move these up just a little bit. Okay. And we need to change the font. So right-click, Properties, pick our font, and okay. Oh boy, so this one is too big, so let's adjust this. Let's drop the size down in this one a little bit. Okay, perfect. All right, so we're going to move this one down, try to line it up a little bit. Now let's address this box here. So I'm going to click and highlight the box, and I think we need to shrink it down just a little. Good. And then let's Properties, and let's make our box look like our lines. So instead of going down, we're going to go up, and we will choose the color. Okay, okay, awesome, great. So I think what we should do now is go ahead and save it and look at it, see what we think, see what else we want to change or move or add or delete. So we're going to save it, and we need to name it. So I'm going to just go ahead and name it Alliance PO, like I did the report. And be sure to save on a shared form, save as a shared form on your server so that everyone can have access to it. I'm going to save, and then here's our report. Here's our form. We're going to preview, and this is what it looks like. So this looks really good. What else do I want to do? What do I want here? I know I don't like this black line. I want to get rid of this black line here, and that looks good. I want to add my website. Okay, let's go do that. So first things first, we need to go modify report and click on this line, delete it, gone. Perfect, that's all we wanted to change here. So we're going to save it, and we're going to save it, and then we are going to edit, form design, and what did we want to do? We want to add our website. So I'm just going to click to bring up a text box, and I'm just going to type it in. So www.alliancesg.com. Okay. Now we need to make it look like everything else. So we're going to go to Properties, change our font, and we'll leave that shrunk down a little bit, and let's make it blue so that it looks like a website. Okay. Okay, perfect. Now let's make sure these line up. Align left. And we wanted to drop this down because remember this is our address, and it's going to have address line, and it also has a phone number in it. So we might want to consider dropping all of this down just a little, the lines and all. If it didn't pick up the lines, just hold your Control key down and click on them, and then just move everything down just a little bit. Okay. One more thing I remember that I wanted to do, I want to add a line on the bottom, put a little blue down here so that it looks good. So we're going to shift that up, and I'm going to go to upper right, draw a line, and I'm going to draw a line down here. Okay. Now, I want to make sure that my lines match, so I'm going to go to Properties, and I'm going to make note of my left alignment and the width. So 49, 719. I'm going to go down to my new line, Properties, and I'm going to type in 49, 719, and then I'm going to make my width match, and I'm going to make the color match. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Move it up a little bit. Awesome. So we've got everything we want. We're going to save it again, and then we're going to go look at it again. We're going to print preview, and there we go. We've got all of our colors, our lines, everything's lined up. It looks great. We put that in the perfect spot. It falls right underneath. Everything is awesome. Set to go. So I wanted to point out that sometimes when you print preview, you might notice that these, like the line here looks like it's running into the words. What I would recommend when you're customizing forms and reports is that you print preview often to make sure that you have everything that you want. So you make sure that you have the words that you want and all of the little fields and stuff added. Get everything that you want in there. But then when you do, print this to either paper or PDF to look at it for alignment, things like this. Because lines, especially lines and boxes, I could draw a box on here, put it right here on the form design, and it's going to show up down here on the print preview. So as far as this type of thing, you should print it to judge that. Because if you try to make it match here and you go back and forth, then when you do print it out, it's not going to look like you did it. It'll be messed up with the line. So I would recommend doing that. Just to show you some of the things that you can do with the form design and reports. Let me see if I can get back to the beginning here. Is we have this client wanted a checklist. They wanted to be able to print these out and hand them to their, for all new jobs they had so they can track things. So we did that. We have, AIA change orders. This is just a regular 3-2 invoice. A lien waiver, a fax cover sheet for a lien waiver that was going out with the lien waiver. The AIA progress billing minus the AIA logos. work order. This is a 4-page work order for the people in the field. And this is all done with, and then today, here's our purchase order. And this is all done directly in the Sage 100 software. So with that, you know, just let us know if you're looking for something you can't figure out on your own. We can let you know if it's possible to get it. So that's all I have for today. I'm going to turn it back over to Tim. Thanks for everybody who joined, and